Hello friends, welcome to the new channel. My name is Jason, co-founder of chartguys.com. If you haven't heard my voice on the main channel, you've absolutely heard my friend and partner Dan. You and I are going to do things a little bit differently on this channel. We're not going to talk about what the market has done. We're going to talk about trade theory and trade walkthroughs. And the reason for that is that there's a real big disconnect, isn't there, between reading about something and then actually applying it in practice. Now, the purpose behind this channel is to educate through example. I want to spend time talking about trade setups. I want to spend time talking about how I'm thinking and how we're thinking through trades, show you what trades look like as they manifest, when and how and why we make decisions that we do, in order to teach you through experience how you can take those skills and apply them to your own trading. So hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully it's useful. We're going to have a lot of fun together if you like charts. Let's get started. I got a really interesting one today. NIO, oversold bounces. Let's get started. One of the more popular plays that we utilize over at Chart Guys is the oversold bounce. And if you've been watching our main channel for any amount of time, you've heard Dan talking about the oversold bounce. But it can be a little bit precarious and, truth be told, a little terrifying to play these types of sudden drops. And that is exactly what they are. Normally, our price sort of moves around like this, right? Back and forth, higher lows, lower highs. We set some sort of trend. Our RSI just sort of hangs out, ideally in the middle, showing us an average and telling us that we're paying a fair price for what we are buying, at least relative to the last 14 periods. Now, an oversold bounce condition shows up when that behavior suddenly changes and we see a rapid drop in one direction. When this happens, our RSI goes deep into oversold territory and it gives us a unique opportunity. And that opportunity comes in the form of bearish exhaustion. It takes a lot of selling pressure to move the price down that quickly, that aggressively into oversold territory. Now, when those bears finally do let up, and they do let up, we start to see a bounce. And that bounce generally moves pretty quickly in the opposite direction, almost like you pulled an elastic down and let it go. And we're able to capture that profit window. Now, it gets more interesting because if the bulls have some good strength, we might even see a higher low in the day, and we may be able to capture the bottom of a pretty significant move and allow the market to make some decisions for us. Normally, we would look to make our entry here, sell half at the first sign of weakness, and let the other half ride with a break-even stop, setting us up for potentially huge profits that can result from that deviation from the mean and the gradual movement of price back to where it actually wants to be. So how do we actually put this into practice? What does an oversold bounce look like in action? Well, we had a really nice one on NIO today, and we were able to walk through it almost in real time in the Chart Guys chat community on Slack. In fact, I'm going to show you a couple of screenshots from the conversations that we were having in that room. So first of all, it was on NIO. It was today. And we needed to, first of all, compartmentalize our price action. Like I said, love to draw on my charts. I'm always looking to place areas of resistance. I like to take a look at how things are behaving. Can I create a visual archetype for what I'm looking at? I want to find areas of support and resistance, and I want to be able to extend out to find possible areas where I'm going to look for reversals. In this case, I'm drawing on the top of my green candlestick here and the green candlestick here, and I'm dragging a parallel channel down to the lowest point on this red candlestick, and it just happens to work out pretty well. My general rule is if I can get about 95% of the trade action inside this window, it is valid enough for me to use for my own trading. So let's get to this oversold bounce. So here we are looking at NIO, just starting the day here using the chart replay feature. We don't know what's quite in store yet, but we do know that we get a relatively weak move right out of the gate. We come up close to testing our pattern resistance. We see a very sound rejection, and then we come down in a pretty big way. So what we're doing at this point is trying to establish a trend. It's fine to have oscillations in both directions, and seeing a rejection from a trend high after we have been grinding that level in our pre-market and our after hours, it's not really what we want to see. Anytime we're against a pattern resistance, the odds favor a move back to the opposite side of the pattern. Now, unless you can break out, backtest, and move on in a big way on big volume, the most likely outcome is going to be continuation in any pattern. And continuation for NIO today was going to be a movement to the downside to stay inside the pattern range. That pattern range, of course, is on the hourly time frame, so it has us looking to the downside. Now, on the hourly time frame, it already looks a little bit aggressive. And on the 2-minute time frame, we're trying to determine a trend change. Has it occurred? Has it not occurred? Well, we can look at the 39.01 level, and that's our low of the day early on. Get some higher highs, but we don't really have a sound higher low. We can draw that in as a bear flag, and in fact, I think it pretty much executes here to the downside. We have lower lows, lower highs, constantly looking for this 2-minute trend to change for the bulls. Anytime we have an opportunity, we reject from our EMA 12, our EMA 26, and we see further volume, bear volume, pushing us to new lows. So at a minimum, we're looking for these trends to change and give us a sign that the bulls are somewhat interested in something happening. On the 2-minute time frame, we are already oversold here. And if we go to the 5-minute time frame, we are starting to edge on oversold for a second time on the day. Now, when we are looking for oversold bounces, ideally what we want to see is a straight shot down. We don't like to see these areas of consolidation, these lower highs and higher lows. That is a trend. That is not a quick flush. It is not that powerful push to the downside. It's a little bit different. We are starting to pick up speed here. We can see that our EMAs are sloping away from each other, starting to get into maybe 15-minute oversold conditions. So what we can do is go to the 15-minute time frame and say, does this look a little bit more waterfally? It does, certainly, but we have been oversold already. So the 15-minute bulls aren't particularly interested in this type of oversold play. We're always looking at all the time frames to see who's reacting to the oversold conditions. Do we have a 5-minute oversold? Are bulls interested in that? If they are, we're going to start to see some hesitation, and we're going to see some bull volume coming into play. That just doesn't happen on NIO today. So we continue to watch our patterns moving to the downside. One more candlestick, another one. And now we're pretty much deep into 15-minute oversold territory, and we haven't had any sort of bullish reaction. So what we can do is go to our hourly time frame and say, yep, we just dipped into hourly oversold. Time for us to start looking at this a little bit more closely. Perhaps this group of traders, those trading on the hourly time frame, are going to be interested in this position. So going to the 15-minute time frame. In fact, I'm going to go right to the 2-minute time frame because we're going to take another look at that trend. Hasn't changed all day, has it? So at this point on the NIO chart, we know that we're 15-minute oversold. And in practice, I'm not watching the 15-minute time frame. I'm not even watching the 2-minute time frame. I am looking for that first hint of strength, that first indication that our hourly participation group may be interested in this oversold situation. So believe it or not, my time frame is right in the 15-second time frame. I'm not looking for trend changes as validation. I am looking for bull volume. I'm looking for nice tightening ranges. I'm looking for evidence that an oversold bounce is not starting, but I'm looking for a variation in behavior. I'm looking for the story that these candlesticks are telling me to change just a little bit, just to suggest that something is changing in the water. Now, what catches my attention at this point is the fact that we've got a double bottom for the first time in a while at 38.08. And beyond that, not only do we have our actually triple bottom, we're getting lower highs. So we are indeed getting a tightening range here. But you know what? It's not quite close enough for me to my hourly trend line. Now I could see this type of behavior happening a little bit closer to my trend line support, my hourly range that I want to look for that reversal against. I'm going to be a little bit more interested in taking that sort of position. But we don't see that quite yet. We do see a 38.08 support, but really nothing has changed. Nothing in the narrative here has shown us that the bulls are going to show up yet. So we continue to watch this trade. And I actually mentioned in the chat room that I'm looking for a short here. I'm going to try and catch this hourly oversold bounce. But what I want to see is actually closer to, and this is really all I did. I come down, look in the range here. I'm like, you know what? 37.72 seems like a pretty happy place. Little sneak peek into the community. Here, 7:15 a.m. Here's the channel that I showed you guys. That's what I was watching. Then we started the thread looking at that oversold condition once things start to pick up a little bit. So we can do a quick post about NIO bears, really aggressive, looking for exhaustion in the short term. And we already know about the hourly trend line. So we're watching this on the 2-minute time frame all the way down. Now, when we get too close to it, things start to get a little bit interesting here, right? This is our area of support, and we're looking for that follow through. I think we went a little bit too quick here. Here we are. I want 37.72, and that is because we're just too far away from that range. And again, what I'm doing at this point is I am expecting my bearish continuation. I know I'm looking for a reversal because we're overextended, but I want to get closer to that area so that I can be content knowing that we've tested that combination of hourly oversold condition against a known area of support. So I'm combining these two reasons and giving myself a little bit more rationale for a bounce potential. So we see this come into play. So far, nothing has changed. We're looking for volume, giving us a third bit of confidence that the oversold bounce is actually going to start. So we keep moving forward. Have we changed anything? Not yet. 38.08 breaks. Then we start to see a pretty significant increase in volume, and should be any second here. Where are you? Volume? Oh, we're in the 15-second time frame. There we go. So 15-second time frame, volume picks up. This is substantial, and it shows us two things. One, it shows us that bears have applied as much pressure as they possibly can. The last bit of effort should be extended to push the price to this point, and is that extended effort that depletes the bears and gives the bulls an opportunity to get things moving. So I'm happy. I get my 32.72. So here it is, 37.72. Has anything changed at this point? No, not really. I'll show you the chart we were actually using. I had to leave all these numbers up here so that we could remember what we're doing. 37.72, but the trend doesn't change, does it? We're still looking for lower highs and lower lows. We haven't seen anything to follow through. So I've got my number. I got my stop set almost immediately after. I'm not giving these bulls any sort of wiggle room. And I also say that right in there. Give me that volume climax. We got it. Volume's tapering off. Potential volume climax. And you know what? The spark is here. 2-minute candle still haven't given us a high. Got my print. Stop at a new low of day. I'm not going to let these bulls do anything to take away my opportunity at this little bounce. And so far, it's not much of a bounce, is it? But we have those oversold conditions. We've seen volume climax. We have seen a nice area of support test for our hourly channel. And now what we're looking for is the evidence that these bulls are going to show up. So I am happy with my entry, my target. And yes, you need to have a target even for these baby bounces. We've got to stop, but I need to know when I'm going to scale out. And I'm going to take about half of my profits. So I can see that 38.08 was a key level. 38.01 was a little bit of a bounce. So you know what? 38 seems like a nice happy number for me. So I'm going to take profits at about 37.99, just before that level. So as we see the bounce continue to develop, we're giving these bulls an opportunity. Again, my stop loss is at a new low of day. I'm not giving them any sort of wiggle room. We keep going. Do we have confidence? Not yet. Not really. We keep moving. You know what? We are so close. I've taken my profits, 37.97. We are out half of the trade, and the other half we're going to let ride, and the market is going to decide for us. So go back to our trade here, out half, break even stop, 843.42. And we get over top of that level. And this is what I'm looking for now, is I'm looking for the bulls to get over top of 38 and establish 38 as a support. So let's go ahead and draw that out at 38. We're going to move that right to our actual level, $38. The bulls are over top of that level. If the bulls have the strength to continue, I'm not going to give them much opportunity. I'm going to take the other half of my profit here, because if the bulls have the strength to continue, this former area of support becomes resistance, should become support again. And if I am wrong, the bulls will fall through that and we'll see some significant sideways action. So we actually see a lack of follow through to the upside. The 38.07 really becomes an area of resistance. I'm waiting and hoping. And what happens? I get stopped out. So overall, I'm pretty happy with this trade. Most of all, I'm happy that we were able to catch it live in the chat room, and we were able to communicate with our members about it and educate them, because that is what we're doing at Chart Guys. We don't do alerts. I'm not going to tell you to buy NIO at 37.72. But what I will do is spend time with you talking about the oversold bounce configurations, what I'm looking for, some of the key levels and rationale as to why I think that is a good, interesting level for us. And we're going to do it together. And eventually you're going to be able to do it yourself. You're going to be able to apply the theory behind oversold bounces, recognize when situations are developing that give you profitable opportunities. So let's see what NIO did for the remainder of the day. We are just going to get rid of this. We're going to put our 3702 low down here. We're going to get rid of replay mode. And as you can see, we continue to trend down for quite some time before we got a 5-minute trend change. So all in all, a pretty small hourly oversold bounce, but still a profitable opportunity. And beyond that, just a great teaching moment. So hopefully that was useful to you. And thanks for watching. If you have any questions at all, please leave a comment. I'll do my very best to get back to you and clarify anything that is not quite clear. And thank you again. We're going to try and sneak up on the pigs. Let's see how it goes.